Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Season 2 draft analysis for the UPBA. Now, the UPBA is the second draft league I ever joined. I was invited in by Ian, my good friend Ian, and I think I took over the team when it was at a 1-win, 3-loss standing. Excuse me, sorry. And I think by the end of the season I'd got it back to 6-6, which is not it's not terrible. So that means I won 5 games and lost 3 out of the games I got to play, or something like that. Which is and a couple of those games are pretty close, if I remember correctly. Which I don't think is too terrible. But yeah, this time I get to draft a new team. I'm not taking one over, obviously, because it's start of the new season now, and the draft is just finished. Like a couple of days ago, I think, that at the time that I'm making this video. This draft, I was looking to try some more new things. If I had to pick up something I had tried before, then I wouldn't be against it. But I wanted to try and get as many new things as I could, and that's also why I did not franchise anything from my last team. There was nothing on my team that I really wanted to keep, and I didn't think losing the points, the extra 20 or 40 points or whatever it is to franchise, depending on what tier, was really worth it for me, especially when I'm still in the stage of wanting to try new things for my draft leagues. But anyway, I guess we'll get down to the first pick. I was something like 7 out of, I think there's 14 people in this draft. So like I was pretty much smack bang in the middle, something like that, 6th or 7th. I was really wanting to get Kyron Black. I did want to use. I wanted to see if I could get a Kyron Black, Mega Diancie, and Jirachi Fairy Dragon Steel Core. I feel like that would be a pretty strong core to get if I could. Like I know that I was saying that I want to try new things. But I did want and I've used Mega Diancie and the Jirachi before in a different league, the DBA, which I have unfortunately had to drop out of just because of time constraints coming up to my trip to America at the start of next month. I mean, I know that I'm joining this league, but I dropped out of 2 leagues to pick up this one, and I mean, this one was always planned. Like I've been like committed to this league since the end of season 1, so this isn't something that I was going to drop out of anyway. So me dropping those other 2 leagues had nothing to do with me picking up this one in the first place. Anyway, yeah, so since Kyron Black got stolen, well, I mean, not stolen, but, you know, it's sniped, got sniped, I think, like 2 picks before me or something like that, or a pick before me. Like, I kind of had a general idea of the kind of mons I was going to pick up in each tier. And since Kyron Black got stolen from me, I figured there's lots of dragons around in various tiers, so I can pick up another one of them somewhere else. But ice types, while there are a few around, I did want to get a pretty decent ice type if I could, and that's why I grabbed Weavile as my first pick from tier 1. Nickname Frostbite. Um, I mean, for fairly obvious reasons, I guess. It's ice type and it's a nice physical attacker. I mean, I guess it kind of uses its claws more, but what are you gonna do? It got a decent HP stat, like for a speedy offensive mon. But obviously its defense and special defense are not the greatest. Like special defense is passable, but with the average HP, it's not like you're not looking to make this tank anything. Basically, this is going to be a hard physical attacker and very speedy mon. And it's got the pressure and pickpocket abilities. Pressure, it makes your opponent's moves use 2 PP for every time they use a move, which can be useful if you want to like make it so that something is using up like recovers or something like that twice as quick as they would normally. And then pickpocket, if I decide not to give Weavile an item to start off, there's potential that it is able to take items from your opponent, so that's pretty cool. It gets some notable setup moves. It gets agility, it gets hone claws. It did get some setup on the special side as well, but with that very, very mediocre special attack, it's probably like it's not ever really going to be a special attacker. Gets a little bit of priority with the fake out and the ice shard, which is nice. Can remove items with knockoff as well as with the pickpocket ability. Some more priority in quick attack, and can do things like taunt your opponent, like stop stealth rocks getting up, stuff like that. It's definitely been something that I've wanted to try, and like every time you come across it on an opponent's team, it's something that you really have to focus on and like be concerned about, just because it hits really hard and it goes really fast. Something to keep an eye on for sure. But yeah, happy to have up my team, and should do well for me. For my second pick, there wasn't really anything in tier 2 that I wanted to get straight away. And there was potential for me to take another tier 1, but there was something in tier 3 that I did want to get to start off my Fairy Dragon Steel Core. And while at the moment, like base 125 speed, like you're not looking at my team at the moment and being like, this will really help you. My next pick, like, was probably a bit questionable. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people questioning it, but I went with Rabombi. Nickname Babbity. I was looking up things that I could nickname it, and there was like a bee in a Beatrix Potter book that was named Babbity. So I mean, I felt like that was pretty good. Anyway, 60 HP, 55 attack, 60 defense, 95 special attack, 70 special defense, and 124 speed. So some decent speed there as well. A nice solid 124.5 average speed so far. And not terrible special attack. I haven't got it in notable moves, but I think Rabombi can Quiver Dance. Pretty sure anyway. Honey Gather is a useless ability in competitive battling, so it'll never take that. Shield Dust stops secondary effects of your opponent's moves, so I believe things like Fake Out won't flinch, you can't get frozen from like ice beams and stuff like that. You can't get burnt. You can't get paralyzed from your opponent's offensive moves. Like obviously you still can from things like Thunderwave or Will-O-Wisp, etc. Toxic, and then Sweet Veil is prevents you from being put asleep. So some nice abilities there for sure. It gets things like Aromatherapy, can heal up status moves. So Cleric potential, Baton Pass. I don't think it gets anything that sets up just speed, so it can't be a speed passer, which is allowed in this league. But I can I believe Carmine Baton Pass is still okay. I think it's just speed and any other stat that you can't pass. I'll have to double check on that before I try and do any of that, but that's alright. Baton Pass can be useful without passing any stats in the first place, so we'll see what happens there. It gets Defog as a hazard removal, Light Screen Reflect for screens, Roost for some longevity, and then Tailwind Trick for some nice utility there, U-Turn for some momentum and initiative, and Sticky Webs is the main reason that people pick this up, and it is kind of the reason why I got this as well. I did want a Sticky Web user on my team, and I wanted a Sticky Web user that I haven't used yet, and I wanted a Sticky Web user that is pretty decent. And that's why I picked this now as my second pick, rather than waiting a turn or two, because it could potentially get taken over the next couple of turns, and I did want to use this, so that's why I picked it up when I did, and I feel like it definitely has some potential. It can be quite offensive, it can be quite supportive, not the most defensive mon, but I mean, it can stick around with things like Roost and Aromatherapy and stuff like that, so that's a cool pick, I feel like. Arguably at the wrong time, but that's right. And next, I was continuing with my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, and I went into Tier 2 this time and picked up Empoleon, Newt Newt, the famous Pingu line. Anyway, 84 HP, 86 attack, 88 defense, 111 special attack, 101 special defense, and 60 speed. So even though it's fairly bulky, it's not the slowest either, which is pretty cool. So with Sticky Webs up, it does still have the potential to outspeed some things, which is pretty cool. Torrent does extra damage when it gets in low health with water moves, and then Defiant boosts attack if it gets any stats lowered. So if there's an opponent with Intimidate or something like that, if my opponent gets Sticky Webs up, if my opponent defogs, which is quite likely in this meta, it's because everything gets defogged now, I can get attack boosts, which could be pretty cool if I wanted to build that way. Obviously the special attack on Empoleon is much better than the attack stat, but it's not like the attack is that terrible that I couldn't take advantage of the Defiant ability if I wanted to. Decent defense and special defense as well. So that makes this guy a pretty good stealth rocker and defogger. So while defog does get rid of your own hazards as well, this thing can take hits fairly well, especially from a lot of other stealth rockers. Just because, and it can threaten out other stealth rockers with things like Scold and stuff like that. But it definitely has the potential to be able to keep defogging away stealth rocks and then set up its own stealth rocks, stuff like that. It does have agility, so you can even speed up that way. Some priority with Aquajet, Hone Claws, Swords Dance for some setup, Knockoff, get rid of items there, and Roar for some phasing if anything tries to set up in front of it. Which is pretty cool. Some nice supportive moves, some nice offensive moves, and like I feel like Empoleon has been something I've wanted to try and draft league for a long time. And I feel like it can definitely put in work. And as Envy says, Envy says that he's basically the best defogger stealth rocker in the game. And I mean, I'm nowhere near on the level of Envy when it comes to like building, playing, and game knowledge, all that kind of stuff. So I'm willing to take his recommendation, especially since I've been wanting to try this for a while. Up next, I think I delve back into Tier 1 for my first free pick. Now, I did take Latias first, to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, but because of snipes and stuff like that later on in the draft, I ended up taking a Mega later that kind of overlapped a little bit with Latias, so I ended up dropping Latias after the draft had finished and picked up Superior. Feel and Vine. HP 75, 75 attack, 95 defense, 75 special attack, 95 special defense, and 113 speed. 75 HP is not terrible, and with the 95 defense and special defense, it has right natural bulk. Like it's not terrible. And then the 75 attack and 75 special attack allows it to be like a mixed attacker, which is very, very valuable, I believe. Like it's not the highest attack or special attack stats, but the fact that it can hit on both sides and your opponent's not necessarily going to know what you're going to bring is pretty neat. Overgrow ability, extra damage from grass moves at low health, and then the reason that most people pick up Superior is the contrary. Contrary Leaf Storm is probably what Superior is known for the most. Just keep chucking out Leaf Storms and build up your special attack boosts that way. It can be pretty cool, and it can be very strong. Also gets aromatherapy, so it can have some kind of cleric duties there if I need it to. But like I've got a lot of things that can do some clerical work, I guess. Which you'll see by the time I get to the end of my draft. So I probably will not be relying on Superior for that duty, but can set up physically or specially with Carmind or Coil. It gets defog as well. So what's that? 3 defoggers in my first 4 picks, which is pretty crazy. Glare can paralyze some people. Knock off items. Leech Seed, get some health back and force some switches. Light Screen Reflect, more screens if I need. Swords Dance, extra attacks setting up. And Synthesis, so it can even sit around longer, get some HP back, which is pretty cool. And also, it's really fast as well. So Empoleon is my slowest one so far, with 60. Then we've got Superior with 113, Rabombi 124, and Weavile 125. So my team is looking pretty fast. Which, on top of the sticky webs, is pretty cool. I do like a little bit of speed. obviously, that does open me up to a bit of a Trick Room weakness, but I mean, if my opponents want to bring that, it's just going to be something I'm going to have to try and play around. Which I mean is there's always potential for that. So there's a lot of mons that get Trick Room, as I found out when I was building my DBA team. Not that I personally had much success with it, but it's like at least I get an idea of what to do on the Trick Room when Trick Room's up. So, but yeah, definitely a decent pickup, and it slotted into my team real nice when I dropped the Lardias for it. I mean, Lardias would have been cool as well. It would have been a good Z user. Also decently fast, a little bit of bulk setup and stuff like that as well. But I feel like picking up the Superior was pretty important for me. I feel getting that grass type. So like that means my Steel, Fairy, and Dragon Core and my Water, Grass, Fire Core are basically done already. And yeah, I just feel like Superior added to my team better than the Latias did, and I like when I picked up the Mega that I did, I all my picks after that were really in the pros like were designed around picking up Superior as after the draft ended. So yeah, I believe now I jump back down into tier 3 to grab my fast electric type. Was that what was up next? It could have been my tier 2 free pick as well. I can't remember. I will find out when I jump to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, it was tier 3. My fast electric type is Jolteon. 65 HP, 65 attack, 60 defense, 110 special attack, 95 special defense, and 130 speed. So this is like the definition of a fast electric type. I believe it's the same speed as Tapu Koko, which is pretty cool. Volt Absorb will help against Tapu Koko as well, but obviously Jolteon's not Tapu Koko. It's just as fast as it. Decent special attack with 110 as well. Volt Absorb and Quick Feet abilities. So Volt Absorb obviously absorbs electric type moves, and Quick Feet gains double speed or something like that when affected by status. So if Poison Burnt or I guess asleep, but I mean Poison or Burnt would be the main ones. Like, I don't think Jolteon can't get paralyzed because it's electric type. So that's not gonna matter. But yeah, it's pretty cool mon. It gets agility, baton pass, so I can speed pass with this thing if I want to set it up that way. Heal Bell, so some more cleric ability there. Light Screen reflects more screens. Quick Attack for some priority. Refresh can get rid of status moves off itself as well. Roar for some phasing. Thunder Wave, paralyze some people. Volt Switch for some priority, and then can Wish as well. Like obviously you don't really pick up Jolteon for the Wish passing. That's more of a like Vaporeon or Umbreon or Sylveon kind of thing. Like the bulkier variants of the evolutions, but I mean, it's still a possibility if I really need to pass wishes around. But like as I said, I do pick up some better healers. Well, at least one better healer later on in the draft. So yes, definitely a cool addition to the team. I've wanted to use Jolteon for a bit. I mean, I wanted to use a lot of the evolutions. I've ticked off Espeon. I'm ticking off Jolteon. I've still got a few more that I need to get my hands on at some point though. And my Jolteon's nickname is Prickles because it's obviously pretty spiky there. Um, Pretty basic nickname, but I like it for Jolteon. Next up was my tier 2 free pick that I took, I guess. Needed a solid poison type because I feel like poison is a pretty important typing to get in a draft, especially like a grounded poison, so that you can get rid of toxic spikes if you need to. So that's why I took Nihilego, my Jellyfish. 109 HP, actually a decent HP stat, 53 attack, defense 47. Pretty low there, but that's alright. Special attack and special defense are pretty high. And speed is pretty decent as well. So, can be quite bulky, naturally bulky on the special side, and a real decent special attack as well. It gets the Beast Boost ability. Its highest stat gets boosted when something dies. Can get knockoff, but once again, it's not a physical attacker in the slightest, so not the most useful, but I mean, could be alright for some surprise knocks, I guess. Light Screen Reflect, Magic Coat, Pain Split, gets Stealth Rock and Toxic Spikes, and Thunder Wave. So, Stealth Rocks, Toxic Spikes, always good to have multiple rockers. I mean, Empoleon is a good Stealth Rocker already, but at least Nihilego here gives me these options, and then I've got the Toxic Spikes option as well. So if I see my opponent doesn't have like a likely poison type that's going to come against me, or their poison type is like Wheezing with Levitate or something like that, setting up some Toxic Spikes could be decent. And if I see that they don't have very many flying, levitating, or steel type mons as well, could be quite good. Yeah. Next up, I did go for my mega. I was gonna pick up, I think, Licky Licky in tier 4 as a like Wish Passer defensive mon. But that got stolen. Well, I should stop saying stolen. It didn't get stolen because like they didn't know that I was gonna go for it in the first place, but it got sniped from me, unfortunately. But that did mean that I could rearrange my draft to pick up a stronger mega than I was going to get in the first place. And I picked up Mega Charizard X. So this was definitely going to be overlapping with my Latias, and so picking this up, definitely, I could have worked with both Latias and Mega Charizard X, but I did need to pick up a decent grass type as well to complete that core. I mean, I don't feel like fire types are super important in a draft league. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that hits anything that fire does just as well. But dragon types are quite important, and this was a pretty good dragon type that I could pick up. 78 HP, 130 attack, 111 defense, 130 special attack, 85 special defense, and 100 speed. So it's not slow. It's got like not terrible bulk, and then it's a mixed attacker as well. So your opponent's not going to know what kind of attacks you're going to go for either. And then, but it does have the Tough Claws ability, which boosts contact moves, which are mostly physical. So you do see a lot of physical Charizard X's for that reason. But it does, and it gets Dragon Dance and Hone Claws as well, which are obviously good for boosting your physical attack. But it does get some nice moves, like it gets Quick Attack for some priority. It does get Reflect, if you really want to set up a screen with this. um, it can phase out things trying to set up in front of it with Raw, although I don't think there's really that many things that want to try and set up in front of a Charizard X, because they will get punished for that, quite likely. Can heal up with Roost, Swords Dance for some setup, Tailwind, speed your team, Will-O-Wisp, get those burns. I mean, but like, if you want to go for the burns, I mean, Will-O-Wisp could be cool, but like, it's not really not a common move used on a Charizard X from what I've seen. And this is Charlotte as well, just cool nickname, Charizard Charlotte. Suggested to me by Anna, so I thought it was decent, and I couldn't think up anything else. And so yeah, that's why I went with that. Next up, I went for my cleric. My probably mainly dedicated cleric slash normal tank. Licky Licky to get taken, and that was what I did really want. But this one that I picked up, I did really want as well. I wanted more in last draft I did, which I think was the NCL, but it got taken from me, sniped from me in that draft, so I picked this up probably a bit earlier than it needed to. But I wanted to secure it at this point. Like, I could have taken Lickitung, but then like I need the Eviolite on that and stuff like that. But I took Ordino, Ronaldinho. 103 HP, 60 attack, 86 defense, 60 special attack, 86 special defense, 50 speed. So not fast. Not the slowest either, but yeah, it's not going to be outpacing anything. But I mean, you're going to be putting like max HP and then into one of the defensive stats as well, depending on what you need it for. Healer is more of a VGC doubles kind of ability. Regenerator is what I'll be taking on this all the time. Like, I'm not going to take Klutz because you want it to be able to use its item. Regenerator, getting that health back when it switches out is cool. You can switch this thing in to take hit, get a wish off, switch it out, pass that wish, stuff like that. And it heals itself at the same time, so that's pretty neat. And it's given my team some much needed bulk, like, because some of my mons that I've taken have like relative bulk, like they have a little bit of bulk, maybe on one side or the other, or like average mixed bulk or something. But this one, 103 HP and then 86 defense and special defense. Like, while not the bulkiest, it's pretty good for a tier 5 pick. And with the regenerator, it definitely stays around longer than like you might expect it to. And it has some nice supporting moves like Encore, Heal Bell, Healing Wish, can knock off as well. Screens, Magic Coat, Pain Split, Refresh to get rid of status moves on it. Thunder Wave can slow other things down. Trick Room can set up Trick Room. I mean, my team is really fast, so there's probably not going to be much point of that. But then Wishing, healing around like that as well. And it can calm mind up if I wanted to go a bit more offensive on my Ordino, but not the most likely. What did I go for next? I believe, well, I've got a lot of hazards setting up, or at least a little bit with the Empoleon and then the Hiligo. I've got lots of defoggers with the Empoleon, the Superior, the Rabombi, the Mega Charizard learns defog. I remember what I went for next. Another mon that I've been wanting to use for a while. Has multiple sets that can be specially, or like another mixed attacker, specially and physically, can do a lot of damage. Hits ghost types, like can manage to hit ghost types, and like when you see it, it's definitely a threat, and that is Swellow, my Oswell that ends well. HP 60, attack 85, defense 60, special attack 75, special defense 50, speed 125. So another speedy mon. My team is quite speedy with Empoleon and Ordino being the slowest ones at the moment. 60 and 50 respectively, and then my next slowest is Mega Charizard X with 50 speed. 100 speed. So yeah, half my draft over 100 base speed is pretty cool. It gets Guts and Scrappy, so if I want to run a Flame Orb physical set, I can. If I want to run like a Choice Scarf or a Choice Specs special Boom Burst set, which like those are the two main sets that you'll see with Swellow, can be quite threatening with either one. I think a lot more people are afraid of the special set, even though its special attack is slightly lower than the attack stat. But either way, it's you see this, you see the potential that it can bring, and you definitely get scared. Has the agility baton pass as well. So if I've got 2 potential speed passes, which could be really cool, really cool. I do like a little bit of speed pass. Has defog as well, so another defogger. Quick attack for some priority, refresh, get rid of statuses on itself, roost for some longevity, tailwind, speed up your whole turn, U-turn for momentum, and then whirlwind can phase out as well. So I've got a little bit of momentum. I've got Volt turn with Jolteon and Swellow, and who else had U-turn? Was it Weaver or Superior? I'm not sure. Whatever. One of them has the ability to U-turn as well. So I got a little bit of Volt turn there as well. Got lots of phasing, if lots of potential for things to phase out setup mons on the other team. And I mean, this team is starting to like look like it's going to help each other. I've got like a large ground weakness with Empoleon, Hiligo, Mega Charizard, and Jolteon as well. So things like Swellow Superior can help with that weakness for sure. Ordino as well can tank hits and then switch back out. But yeah, next up, I'm going to help get something else that can help with the ground weakness a little bit, and something that's going to give me a rapid spinner, which I don't have yet. I've got lots of defoggers, but with sticky webs on my team, I probably need a rapid spinner as well. So that's going to be Claydol. 60 HP, 70 attack, 105 defense, 70 special attack, 120 special defense, and 75 speed. That gives me a speed tier in between Empoleon and Mega Charizard, smack bang in the middle there, really. With the levitate ability, so it does not get hit by ground moves unless it's Zygarde's Thousand Arrows, which is a broken move to be honest, but I love it. I love Zygarde. If I didn't want to try different things, I would pick it up, but I mean, Cade had already franchised that from last season, so there was no chance of me getting that, and I have it in the NCL at the moment anyway. So I think that's probably a good way to do it. If I'm in a draft league at the moment that already has something, I should not pick it up in another draft. So I can deal with that. Can set up with Calm Mind. Can set up screens. Magic Coat reflects some status stuff back. Rapid Spin, get rid of rocks. On my side, refresh, get rid of status moves. Rock Polish, set up speed. It can't pass it though, unfortunately. Trick, chuck a stealth. A choice scarf or choice specs or something on this, and then try and trick it onto a more defensive mon. Could be pretty cool. And then Trick Room as well, but once again, not really looking to run Trick Room with this team. Nickname Carousel, for, I mean, I guess kind of obvious reasons. I it spins like a carousel does. But yeah, quite decent bulk as well. 60 HP, 105 defense, and 120 special defense is not really going to get one-shotted by a lot of people, uh, depending on like which way you specialize its defenses and what what moves you want it to take and stuff like that. But the levitate once again does help out with my a couple of my other weaknesses. It does add to an ice weakness that it shares with Swallow, but I've got Empoleon for that. Weavile helps with that. Ordino can take hits for days, so and Superior's got the ice weakness as well, but that's alright. Like I definitely have things that can help with that. Now up last, since I've got sticky webs, lots of hazard setting potential, and stuff like that, I felt like a spin blocker was definitely something I needed to get my team. Some more bulk is not a terrible thing. I was looking at various options like Cofagrigus and Dusclops and like other ghost types like that. I think they were the main ones. Like there was potential for like Jellicent and stuff like that, but I don't really need another water type. But in the end, I went with Dusknoir because Dusclops had already been taken, Cofagrigus had already been taken. I'm not unhappy with this pick though. It's still got decent bulk. Like its HP is not high, but the defense and special defense, both 135, make up for it. And for a defensive mon, it's still got a pretty right attack stat with 100. Pressure ability to like stop something sitting in front of it and just recovering for free. And then Frisk can find out what items your opponent's holding as well, which can be quite important information. And the nickname Milo, it's got one eye. Anna's cat has one eye, and its name is Milo, so she gave me the idea for that one as well, and I thought it was good, so I went with it. Can calm mind, but it's obviously got that better attack stat. Does have Destiny Bond, Disable, Haze, so it can get rid of stat boosts. Memento it's always nice to have something that can use Memento to allow something on your team to set up or something like that. Pain Split, because its HP is not super high, it can get a lot of HP back from higher base HP mons, which is like higher base HP bulky mons, which is pretty cool. Sucker Punch for a little bit of priority there. Taunt, Trick Room, and Will-O-Wisp. So overall, I feel like I've picked up a pretty decent team. A very fast team overall. I think it was like just under 100 average speed. This last pick obviously dropping the average a decent amount. But like I have there is a speed gap between Claydol and Mega Charizard X. There's nothing that I have that's in the 80s or the 90s. But like that means anything that can is probably going to be speed creeping the Mega Charizard. But then I still have a lot of mons that are faster than that, and like there's not much that will be able to manage to speed creep my whole team, which is going to force a lot of my opponents to bring a Scarfer, whether they really want to or not, which is going to be pretty decent for my prep, really. So yeah, I like that. Uh, Pythagoras with the mummy ability would have been nice as well, but I think Dustnoir with the pressure and the frisk and like the lots of coverage moves that he has, or like even just the seismic toss and the nightshade, just for that guaranteed set amount of damage, is pretty cool. And it rounds out my team really nice, gives us a spin blocker, so we can force our opponent to defog, and that helps things like our Empoleon. Um, and even Superior, because if I take Superior with the contrary ability and my opponent defogs, that means my evasion rises, and it's one of the very few ways to legally get evasion rises in the draft league. Just because like evasion is banned in a lot of leagues because it's just annoying to deal with, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like it's a decently rounded team, decent bulk, good speed, a lot of mixed attacking, um, and then still a decent ratio between special and physical attackers too. Lots of defog options. Got a rapid spin option to go with that. Various stealth rocking options. Got the ability to set up webs and toxic spikes as well. And I feel like this is going to be a decent team to play around with. Can probably do some fun things with it. So I'm definitely looking forward to this season. And I think week 1, which should be coming up this week, I believe, I'm versing Magic Blades and the New York Meloettas, who I believe I lost to last time we met. His Scarfed Noivern decimating my Dragon Dance. Oh, was it? My Salamence, Dragon Dance Salamence. That's it. But anyway, uh, hopefully we can get our revenge there. But I guess we'll see you for the battle videos over the course of the season. Thank you for watching my draft analysis, and I guess I should say check out the other coaches. A lot of them, or a few of the ones that do YouTube are in my featured YouTubers on my main channel page. Ian Rudiger and Austin are the main ones that do YouTube videos. There might be some more. There is definitely some more, I think. And I'll have to try and add them in at some point in the future when I get around to it. But either way, yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys for the course of the season. See you later.